Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi, I'm Liv and this is Colouring with Liv. So in this video I'll be going over how I coloured this beautiful moth. It's a comet moth and it's inside this beautiful colouring book by Timea Herczeg. And the colouring book is called Realistic Insect Colouring Book for Adults, Butterfly and Moth Species with Names. So as I was looking at the different moths on Pinterest and Google, mainly Pinterest, I saw that the comet moth was a beautiful yellow. So I obviously started with a yellow and I thought watercolors would be great. And as I was going through my supplies, I had just those four colours, those four Cotman watercolors by Windsor Newton in tubes, and I bought them before I moved and I only used them once, I think, and I had some trouble opening it because there was some paint stuck around the opening of it. So I just went in and grabbed that lemon yellow as a base, and then for the purplish bit, it was more of a reddish, but I made a purple using the permanent rose pink and the cerulean blue for the legs. So it didn't come out as red as the reference photos, a bit more purple, but I wanted to create a pink for the background, so I went in with that permanent rose for the background. So I didn't want it to be too pink, otherwise it would sort of blend in with the background too much. And I thought pink and yellow, whenever I see it, also I saw how Shemaine did her moth when we did a body colour together. She did hers in a pink and yellow, and I've also seen it when my husband plays games as well. I think it's Borderlands, they use a pink and yellow, and it's just, yeah, I haven't really used this colour combination so much before, so it was great to use it. And then I went in with some raw umber to create some shadows. So I was just following the shadow lines, and then the bits that I didn't like, I just lifted that watercolour with my microfiber cloth. And now to add a bit more purple, because there was some purple in the eyes of the moth on the wings. So I did a bit of purple there, adding some shadows, and then creating an orange using the pink and yellow. So just in that little section for the eye of the moth of the wing. And this photo reference I found on Pinterest. I'll put a link to that in the description. So that's how I made the orangish colour, just grabbing that pink and yellow. So I made sure that those colours were mixed as I would do with acrylics, just mix it well with water first, so you don't get any kind of clumps of colour and it's easier to grab. And then I saw a little bit of more of a reddish colour, so I added a bit of pink on that section. And then I just neatened up the edges, adding a little bit more pink to create a little bit more contrast and vibrancy. And this pink from Windsor Newton is just so beautiful. It's just so vibrant. It's just what I expected it to be. So then I used two of my watercolor brushes. I'm using Raphael brushes. So this is the travel set, and I'm just using the smaller brush to create grab more of that pigment, and the larger mop brush I just wetted it. So in a colouring book I normally dry it and then add just a touch of water so that you don't actually lift the paint. But on this section I wanted to lift the paint, so you just add a little bit of water, dry the brush, and then go over that same section to lift the paint. And then it also lifted some of that yellow behind, so I grabbed that lemon yellow to add so that you can't see that there was a mistake there. So I'm just neatening those edges by lifting that paint that went over the lines. And then as I was doing this, I also noticed that I could soften the edges for the rest of the bits where I added the raw umber, and I thought I could still mix some of that colour with the yellow and the raw umber to mix that on the page rather than pre-mixing it in the palette. And just checking to see how the watercolour is doing. It hasn't bled through to the other side, so that's a good sign. It has warped a little bit, but once the paint dries, then we'll just close the book to flatten the page. And then for the lines, I thought I could cover that up with a little bit of acrylic. So I got some acrylic markers out. I haven't really used acrylic markers, so I bought the white one from Giphy, which is like a cheap shop in France, and then so that's the white one, but it spludges everywhere, so I didn't want to use that directly, so that's why I put it in the palette. And then I was gifted this yellow one from Meedan because I won the advent calendar in so I was quite lucky this Christmas. I managed to win a couple of things. So I won this Meedan set, and I also won some alcohol markers from Windsor Newton. So that's quite exciting. I never win anything. So yeah. And then I wanted to test the difference between the Meedan acrylic marker and the yellow Posca. So I've only got a couple of Posca pens in this 0.7mm, the fine tip, but I found that for this particular colouring that I preferred the Posca, because not only was the yellow just slightly more pigmented, the tip was finer, so I could actually go over those shadow lines. And if I was just using the Meedan acrylic marker, I don't think I would have gone over those lines. And because I did, it's like you can see the lines even though you can't see the lines over the yellow. So it gives that illusion that there are lines. And then the eyes of the on the moth had a little bit of blue on it. So I added that cerulean blue in there, and I felt like as soon as I did that, the page really started to pop. And also on the reference photo, there were these white dots. So I grabbed my white Posca pen, again in the 0.7mm, and I added those white dots there. And then I decided to grab my soft pastels. So I've got these 24 mini soft pastels by Faber, which I almost dropped everywhere. And after getting them, I ended up actually breaking them all in half because I found that the stick was just slightly too long, and having them smaller, I feel like you can kind of try and get into the edge and use that edge of the pastel. And then I also had a brown pastel pencil by Cotman Paris. So just a brown pastel pencil, because the brown that came in that set was either too dark or was slightly like an orangish reddish brown, and that pastel pencil was more of just a regular brown, I guess. So the pastel pencil is a pastel 001 or 1355. That's what it says on the pencil, and that's made in France. So I'm just going over in between the lighter medium yellow and that darker brown from the pastel set, and then I'm grabbing my makeup brush to brush away some of the excess pastel. And then I noticed that there was a slightly reddish tint, so I grabbed my reddish redishy orangish pastel and added that in as well. So I first got the makeup brush because when I saw other people using pan pastels, they were actually blending pastels with the makeup brush. But when I tried it, I found that actually the makeup brush removes the pastel. So that's quite a good tip. And then to finish it off, I ended up spraying it with my soft pastel or dry pastel fixative by Sennelier. Because when I use pastels, I don't want to blow on it because the pastel will go everywhere, but I just slightly dabbed a little bit with my finger, but I didn't want to move that pastel too much, so I just left it as is. So I haven't yet sprayed it, I only sprayed it at the end. And now I'm grabbing my Polychromos colouring pencils to brighten up the eye of the moth, because I felt like the watercolour kind of, I don't know, it spludged a little bit, it didn't give that vibrancy. And now going in with the colouring pencils, it really adds to that vibrancy. Like once I added the reddish orange, wow, it really started to pop at this particular point. So the colouring pencils that I'm using are Blue Violet in 137, Crimson in 134, Sky Blue in 146, Cadmium Yellow in 107, Dark Cadmium Orange in 115, and Pale Geranium Lake in 121. So the numbers are 137, 134, 146, 107, 115, and 121. So then when I was looking at the reference photo, I noticed that there was a darker circle around that brightness. So I kind of went slightly not on the actual line, but slightly outside the line. And I felt like that really actually started to look more like a moth at that particular point when I added that bit in. And so I'm just trying to go over those colours, making sure you can see a little bit of each of those colours. So I didn't want to lose the yellow, but I also wanted to add some of that sky blue in there. So I just kept on going over it until I felt like I was satisfied. And as you can see with the one that I haven't coloured just yet, that I just did with the watercolour, that the difference is incredible. So the colouring pencils really make it pop. And because you have that watercolour for the base, it's so much easier to add the colouring pencils at this particular point. You can feel that the watercolor underneath is sort of like eating up at your pencils, as if you, like the same when you add pastels underneath, pastels really eat up your pencil as well, but not in a bad way, in a good way. So if you are interested in getting this colouring book, I will leave a link in the description box below. So this is actually my first affiliate partnership, and it's also Timea Herczeg's. I am her first affiliate partner as well, so the relationship is new to the both of us. So I will be getting some commission from the sales of this book if it does sell. So if you do decide to purchase this book, you'll not only be helping her, you'll also be helping myself a little bit as well. And if you would like to help me out, I have left a link to my Ko-fi. So I'm not asking for any membership, but if you do want to leave a tip, if you found this video to be helpful to you in any way, or any of my other videos, then you can leave me a little tip. And the colouring pencils that I'm now using are Middle Cadmium Red in 217, Middle Purple Pink in 125, and Mauve in 249. So the numbers are 217, 125 and 249. And that's just for those kind of shadow areas and the legs. So I decided to go with more of a kind of slightly brownish colour, but not brown. So the cadmium, middle cadmium red is that reddish brown type of colour in 217 that I'm using now. Using that mauve colour in 249, so that's the deep purple colour. So I'm just going over those dark lines, so I felt like it didn't make much of a difference, but I just tried to see if it did make any difference. And again with that middle purple pink in 125, I just tried to go over some of the lines. I went in the middle as well, because that's how it was in the reference photos, to see if that would make any difference, but I didn't feel like it made much of a difference, but we can try. We can try and see if it does anything. So I just went over with that middle cadmium red closer to that darker purple colour, the mauve colour, and then I noticed on the reference photo that there was this purple, pinkish and red bit. So just as the shadow bit ends, you kind of drag it down to that corner of the wing. But because I added already some pastel in that area, I felt like adding the colouring pencils wasn't really working too well. So I just played around with it here, and I was in two minds of whether to actually go for it and try and really press down on that colour, or leave it alone because it looked okay as it was. So I just tried to add a little bit, but the purple wasn't really coming out as purple as I wanted it to look like. It was coming out quite dark. So then I tried to find like more of a bright pink. So then the pinkest and brightest pink of the Polychromos set is Fuchsia in 123, which I end up trying to add to that corner as well, just to see if that makes any difference. But yeah, like I said, because I already added so much like watercolor and the pastel already, it almost felt quite muddy, the color as I was adding it in. It didn't feel as bright, so that's why I tried to add that pink in there. And I also found a purple as well, a violet in 138 or 138. So I've got my fuchsia and violet there. So maybe if I went over it a little bit more, it might have become a bit brighter, but I think I was just, because I was still in two minds of whether to really go for it or not, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just leave it as it is. I don't want to mess it up. I guess it's that fear of messing it up. And then I just went in with some kind of like gold colours. So I have the Bandic Brown in 176. I have the Bistra, I think I was calling it Bisto colour before. It's Bistra in 179. Green Gold in 268. And the light yellow ochre colour in 183. So you have 183, 268, 179 and 176. Just to kind of add a little bit more of that yellowish tone, so that the colour doesn't look so flat, just to kind of add a little bit more shadow. And yeah, so where I was trying to add the pastel in for the middle section, I was trying to make it look a bit fluffy, and I thought that's why I decided to add some pastel in there, because I thought maybe the pastel can create that fluffiness effect. But yeah, with the colouring pencil, I found that as also with adding that darker Bandic Brown in 176 to go over those lines, it just really popped, because you have those lighter and darker values. So I was just trying to find anything else that I had missed, and maybe trying to add a little bit of more depth to it. So on that leafy bit, I thought, oh, that looks more, there was a little slight orangish colour, so I just grabbed that dark cadmium orange that I had lying around and just thought, oh, maybe that might make it pop a little bit more. And that cadmium yellow in 107. And yeah, I think it was done at this particular point. So I was just tapping that pastel to see if that makes any difference. But I didn't want to blend it. You can also blend it with a cotton tip or Q-tip. And then if there was any kind of leftover bits of pastel in unwanted areas, maybe a bit on the pink background as well, then I just brushed it off. And just as I thought I was finished, I thought, oh, the little feet had this sort of almost like a flower effect to it. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll add a little bit of kind of curl to it. So I didn't leave it just as it is, so I added those lines in to kind of make it appear more, maybe I messed it up on that right foot, but I was just trying to create a kind of yeah, like a wilted daffodil type of bit there, and just added a little bit more shadow with those 4 pencils that I had out in the light yellow ochre, green gold, bistre and Van Dyck brown. So I think by colouring this Comet Moth, it's kind of given me a little bit of confidence to actually try something like this out with my Polychromos pencils on pastel paper. I've got some black pastel paper. I was thinking maybe I might try this again. So yeah, if you like this colouring page, give it a like, thumbs up and subscribe. And again, if you want to get a hold of this colouring book, I'll leave a link in the description. It is an affiliate link, but it's at no extra cost to you whatsoever. It just helps myself out and also the author of this colouring book, obviously. Alright, take care guys. Bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.